Tag. I'm it. Hi guys, I'm JK and this is JK is Hiking, where we are all about backpacking, hiking, and gear. As a matter of fact, I just got home from finishing up the Sheltowee Trace National Recreation Trail. It's a 323-mile long trail that goes from the Big South Fork in Tennessee all the way to Moorhead, Kentucky, through the entirety of the Daniel Boone National Forest. I would love to say that I thru-hiked it, but the truth is I couldn't. There are circumstances that keep me from being able to do a thru hike, and it just happens to be that today you're going to find out what those reasons are. My buddy Matty from over at Matty Outdoors tagged me in this video and asked me to share with you the 5 things that you may not know about me, and so that is what we're going to talk about today. But before I do that, if you haven't checked out Matty's page, it's Matty Outdoors. He is a Canadian backpacker from Edmonton, and he is just an all-around genuine guy. He gets to some of the coolest places and see some of the most amazing scenes. And if you haven't had a chance to check out his hiking videos, please go do that. He also does gear reviews, and he does a lot of just hiking tips and hacks and tricks. He's just a great guy to check out. If you haven't checked him out already, go on over to Matty Outdoors and check out his page because it is phenomenal. With that said, let's kick things off and let's talk about my first thing you don't know about me.
Number 1.
I spent most of my adult life single. I just really wasn't interested in the dating scene. I wasn't interested in really worrying about getting married. Those things just weren't really at the forefront of my mind. And so it wasn't until I was 40 years old that I was married. And it wasn't until I was 43 that I had my first child. That's right. I have children that were born after I turned 43 years old. I have a 1-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. They're 11 months apart. So you do the math. Basically, my poor wife was pregnant for 2 solid years. And you really have to feel for her because being pregnant is not an enjoyable thing for women. So my wife was just on the struggle bus for almost 2 solid years. Basically, I won't see my kids graduate until I'm 63 years old. Most people are retiring at that point. I'm gonna have to pay for college. What in the world was I thinking? Obviously, I'm kidding. I love my kids. As a matter of fact, I've got a video that I put out just a month or so ago of me and my daughter going hiking. She loves getting outside with me and running around and having a great time. And let's just be honest, she's much more adorable and much better to watch on a camera than I am. But she is a beautiful little girl. Her name's Kelley, and we have a blast hanging out together. My son Jack, he was born 10 weeks early. He spent 4 weeks in the NICU. And so he's just a miracle that he's even around. He weighed right around 3 pounds when he was born. It's just amazing to see him growing. He's just now learning how to talk. And it's been so much fun watching these 2 kids grow. I honestly think if I would have had kids at a younger age, I don't think my patience could have handled toddlerhood, because toddlerhood is a monster. Now let's talk about the number 2 thing you don't know about me.
Number 2.
I've been a musician for over 25 years. As a matter of fact, I traveled professionally with bands. I was in a band in the 90s called Fishhook. I was the bass player. We got to tour the country. We got to go up and down the East Coast. We got to play all through Texas. Had really cool opportunities to play with some larger bands. Had a great time. Played for as few as 10 people and as many as a few thousand people. I'm also a singer myself. I've put out 2 solo albums myself. Minor little things that you've never heard of, but they were a lot of fun for me. I also got the opportunity to sing with different singing groups. I've had the opportunity to sing at Carnegie Hall. I've sung at Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, and I've had the opportunity to sing at the old RCA Dome in Indianapolis, Indiana. I've had some really cool opportunities singing in front of as many as 20,000 people. I have loved music my whole life. I'm hoping and praying that my children pick up on that and that we're going to be able to see my kids foster that love for music in their lives. Let's get to number 3.
Number 3.
The number 3 thing that you don't know about me is that I never went backpacking until August of this past year. That's right, I've been hiking for years. And I've done car camping, but I'd never gone backpacking until I started the Sheltowee Trace. I actually started this channel just so that friends and family could get an opportunity to see what I'm doing on the trace, to see how the hikes were going, to get an opportunity to see what I was seeing through my eyes. It was also an opportunity for people who are wanting to support Life Water International, which is an organization that I'm very fond of. They bring clean water to the most remote regions of the world, which is the whole reason I was hiking the Sheltowee in the first place. And so it was an opportunity for me to let the people who were supporting me see what it was I was doing. It wasn't until a phone conversation with Dan Becker that I finally decided I'm going to start doing these kinds of videos, which is really funny. I'm a beginner backpacker, and I've been pretty open about that from the beginning. I've shared my beginner mistakes that I've made in the last several months. And I plan on sharing more of those mistakes because there are going to be plenty more. But I also like sharing what I've learned along the way. And so you probably didn't know, but I've only been backpacking less than a year. Let's get to number 4.
Number 4.
The number 4 thing that you don't know about me is I am deathly allergic to poison ivy. And I'm not just talking a little bit. I mean, if I see a 3-leaf plant, it could be a 5-leaf. I don't care, it could have 27 leaves. If I think it could possibly be poison ivy, I'm not going anywhere near it. If you ever go on a hike with me, it's so funny because I will tiptoe through areas in the woods if I have to go around the trail to avoid poison ivy at any cost. Whenever I get poison ivy, I immediately have to go to a doctor, get a shot, and then take this pack of pills where you start out taking 7 on the first day, 6 on the next, 5 on the next. You get the idea. I have to take these pills or the poison ivy literally spreads over my entire body. The first time this ever happened to me was when I was a kid in the 9th grade at church camp. I went there and we were playing a game. It was basically a capture the flag game. We were playing Warlords. It's capture the flag. And I was hiding, trying not to be caught. The thing was, I was hiding in a patch of poison ivy. I knew it was poison ivy, but I'd never gotten it. So in my mind, I wasn't allergic. Later that night, I started rubbing my face and I noticed my face was getting a little red, both sides, and then arms were getting a little red and my legs were getting red. And before I knew it, my entire body the next day was covered in poison ivy blisters. That might have been the worst experience of my life. Needless to say, I learned real quick I can't get poison ivy. And since that day, anytime I get poison ivy, it just comes worse and worse and worse and worse. If I get it in one spot of my body, it's going to spread everywhere else. And so I can't get poison ivy. I do everything in my power to avoid it. When you're a backpacker, you're probably going to get it at some point. So I'm just waiting for when the ball's going to drop and I'm going to get poison ivy again. But I'm not hoping it happens anytime soon. So let's get to the final thing you don't know about me.
Number 5.
The 5th thing that you may not know about me is that even though I live in the state of Kentucky, I'm a Buckeye through and through. That's right, I'm an Ohio State fan. I grew up an hour north of Columbus in a little town called Belleville. I grew up loving the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Cleveland Browns. I lived in a football family. We lived, we breathed, we ate football. Football was everything for us. As a matter of fact, when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, I got 3 other guys to join me up on top of the mountain to do the OHIO on top of Mount Kilimanjaro. Now I know if you're an Ohio State fan, you're thinking that's pretty stinking awesome. And if you're everybody else, you pretty much hate my guts for doing stuff like that. So I've grown up my whole life loving my Ohio State Buckeyes and my Cleveland Browns. And I'm just going to be honest with you, I cannot wait for this season to start so I can see Baker Mayfield throwing bombs to my buddy Odell Beckham Jr. He's not really my buddy. I don't know Odell Beckham Jr. Yeah, that'd be cool though. You think he'll watch this? That's 5 things you may not have known about me. So now I'm going to tag 3 friends of mine and have them tell you a little bit about themselves. The first guy I'm going to tag is the guy who talked me into doing these videos in the first place, and that's Dan Becker. If you aren't watching Dan Becker's videos, you've been hiding under a rock somewhere. The guy's killing it right now. He went from 10,000 subscribers to 20,000 in about a month. He is just doing such an amazing job with his videos, and he loves the backpacking community. So Dan, you're probably going to kill me for this, but I'm tagging you, buddy. I want to hear what you got to say. The next guy that I want to tag is Jason Waugh with Backpacking with Jason. Jason lives right here in Lexington, Kentucky. We've actually been able to get together for lunch and hang out. He is an awesome guy. He's about as down to earth as you're ever gonna meet. He could be the kindest human being I've ever met personally. I'm looking forward to hearing about what we don't know about Jason Waugh. So the last guy that I'm gonna tag is the guy that I started the Shell Toey Trace with, and that's Flash over at Trails in a Flash. He has gotten the opportunity to through hike the Appalachian Trail. He's also section hiked the Shell Toey Trace like I have, and he's actually making plans in a couple years to go hike the PCT. He's got so much experience hiking, and he has some amazing hiking videos from the Smoky Mountains. If you've never checked out Trails in a Flash, make sure you go over there and check those out. He's one of the most genuine guys you're ever gonna meet and a good friend, and I can't wait to see what he has to say. Where we're all about having big trucks drive right by the building so that you can hear it and it messes up my audio. Is that I forgot to shut that door, so you're gonna hear my dryer. Haha, woo! And gear, and I'm gonna do that again because I paused really awkwardly. We're all about slurring our words and not making any sense of what we do. I need to get more sleep.